That's your favorite part?
I know. I can't even follow it. Good morning.
Rock here.
Nancy here.
Wow.
We're often matching, eh?
You cut that off
I
a
know.
little too
Well,
early.
it's because I'm like, I don't want to cut it off, but it's like,
I know.
should.
We're going to get dinged.
Gonna
We're
get
going to get
dinged.
dinged by
Yes.
the Facebook police.
Yes.
Heaven
Good
forbid we
morning,
should have a
Julie.
little bit
Thank
of
you so
fun.
much for joining.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you.
We finally figured out how to go live again through our page.
Yes.
Rock and Nancy's Pizza.
Which is great.
Which
How
is
did you
great.
figure it out? You just came back?
No.
How did you do it?
You go to add photo instead of going, because it used to say photo, comment, and then live or something like that.
Oh.
Now it says reel.
Right.
Add L.
Yes.
So what you do is you click on the photo, like you want to add a photo, and it gives you an option, and you can live video.
Oh, yeah, there is that. Yeah, that's true. There is
Yeah, it's
that
just
option.
that.
That's
So,
awesome.
I figured it out,
Yeah,
bro.
oh my gosh. Oh, this week is election day. What a...
It's election day today, or the
It is.
22nd?
No,
20th.
the 22nd is the Vax Pass.
Oh,
The 20th
yes,
is the
yes.
election.
So many wonderful things coming down the pipe. It's hard to keep track of all this stuff.
Oh, man. So, I was, we had a great weekend this weekend.
We did.
We went to your
did.
brother's place.
We
We
did.
connected with some loved ones. It was
We
awesome.
did. Yes. We had so much fun. My nephew was like, I want you to stay here forever.
Yeah, he didn't want to say goodbye because
Didn't wanna say
he's
goodbye.
thinking like, if I don't say goodbye, they're gonna stay.
They're just going to stay. They're not going to leave. And I was
Aw.
like, well, we got to go, buddy.
What a guy! What
He's
a
4
guy.
years old.
Yeah, he's so
It's
cute.
adorable.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Come on.
Yeah.
These facial expressions. He's like doing all these things. I'm like, you're very expression. You get a lot of expression there, my little man.
Yes, yes. And it was just nice to get away from the everyday and go to somewhere else. Change of scenery.
Yeah.
And it was just nice.
We
And
left our misery and jumped into somebody else's house filled full of their misery.
take a break of our own.
Take a break of our own. It's refreshing to see people.
Oh gosh. And good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, everybody.
So I went on my bike ride this weekend, Saturday morning. I liked getting up early and going out so I can come back early enough and enjoy the rest of the time with
Yeah.
your brother and
Play
stuff,
Texas Horseshoe,
brother, your-
that sort of stuff.
sister-in-law and the kids. So
Yep.
I was like, you know what? Because we used to live in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
We lived there for
8-9 years.
8 years.
Give it a take.
And then during the time that we were there, we lived in the one part of town, and then we moved to the other part of town.
Yeah.
But when we
We're
first,
like gypsies.
I know, it's crazy. But when we first moved there, after we bought in the one part of town, and
East End.
and I ended up going for a bike ride in that area.
Mm.
And then I was reminiscing on how because when we bought that house, it was like a newer house, newly built house.
Yeah, within 10 years.
It was a developing area, and now it's like you go there and it's all developed and matured. And
Yeah, they have like a whole new subdivision there with, or I should say a subdivision, but like a plaza, a mall, all these places,
Yeah,
LCBO, shoppers. It's just growing.
Yeah, and I remember that's the first time when I was starting to train for my first half marathon. I was starting to listen to things like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield, like
Yep.
How to Build Your Confidence, and Louise Hay, and all these things. That's when I started. So then there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
a lot of great memories there, like
Yeah.
growth memories, if you will.
Tell them how you creeped our old house.
Of course you do. Everybody's guilty of
There's a
this.
path there in the back, and it's all fenced. She grabbed herself,
No, I did not do
and she
that.
looked over,
No, you imagine that? No,
and they took away our hot tub.
They did, yeah, and there was like, there's
no hot tub there.
There's a barbecue. Yeah, so I was like, then there's, and so there's a bike path that goes all around that division, and I was just biking along, and I'm like, imagine if if we would have stayed, and
Well,
because
yeah, you can't do that.
no, I know, but you do, and I was like, imagine if I would have stayed, and it would have because these days. I'm longing for that security stability because there's so many moving parts. So it's like you're longing for that security stability when there's you don't feel like you have both feet on the ground. So then
Yeah.
of course I was starting to think if we would have stayed, maybe it would have been more stable and it would have been more. But then as I was going around and I stopped at the waterfront and I started reflecting, I saw this rocky wall that separates the harbor from the rest of Lake Ontario. then I started thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I would have stayed, I would have stayed in the harbor where it's safest. But then I wouldn't have explored what's out there. So then I got to thinking, I'm like, well, it is a good thing that, we ventured out and found what we like, what we don't like, you learn about yourself. You grow in so many different ways. So
I do feel for myself personally that I do have the call to adventure a lot.
Yeah.
Like pick up and move. I don't.
Well, maybe it's a scarcity.
No, that's just I don't know. I don't know if
flight.
that's. We used to be nomadic people. We used to walk around and follow the seasons and follow the herd. And it's only within the last 20,000 years or so in our evolution that we've been settlers. Most of us back in the day, there were a lot less people, of course. We wouldn't be able to 8 billion of us do nomadic stuff.
Right.
But we were a lot smaller back then as far as population, so we were more adventurous, more following of the herds and the seasons. And I know I still feel that sometimes, like the call to adventure. And I think that's important. Now, of course, I understand that now I'm not going to just move, because that's not what that means anymore. It means other things. Like it means the call to adventure, like starting a new business or writing a book or getting into shape. These are all calls to adventure. And
because you don't know how it's going to go.
Don't know how it's going to go. It's uncertain. You're taking a chance. You're taking a risk.
Yeah.
You want to get into shape. You've never done it before. Whatever you're going to take on is going to be a risk. Will it work out for you long term?
It's going to be uncomfortable.
Will it benefit you? Or anything. You want to learn a new language. You want to write a book. You want to open up a side hustle. These are all things that are calls to adventure.
Right.
And I would say that it's a good point that you said. The ships are, yes, the safest in the harbor, but they're built for the sea.
Yeah.
We are all built for adventure. We're not built to be complacent and to just let the days go by and go by and go by. And 5 years from now, you are exactly who you were without any sort of progression or evolution or adventure.
Yeah.
It just, you got to pick your own adventure, whatever suits you.
Well, it's one of our 6 human needs, as Tony Robbins talked about. It's about like uncertainty and variety. It's one of our human needs, because if we stay too stuck in certainty, then we get bored and restless. But if we get too stuck in the uncertainty, then we feel shaky. We don't feel grounded. We feel like So there needs to be a balance between the two.
Yeah.
And because now, like for me personally, I feel there is so much uncertainty around the corner. So then, of course, I'm looking for ways to ground myself. So going for a nice bike ride in nature, for me, that's a way of grounding myself. Meditating, I feel a big difference. So those are the things that to help you step out of the comfort zone, if you will. This is really what it's about this week: is how to step out of your comfort zone. Is to know, to a certain degree, that you're safe and grounded within, so that way you can take that larger step.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah. So 100%. Like, I mean, we all want stability and security in a way, but some of that security is kind of bad for you, because it makes you complacent, and it makes you kind of bored. And often when people are bored or complacent, they get destructive. In their own ways. They sabotage their jobs, or they sabotage relationships, or even their health or anything, just to get a bit of excitement going.
That's true.
And what you really want to look at, this is what I'm working on, is to channel that self-destructive behavior towards creativity, towards growth. Because I'm a self-destructive person.
Yes.
I get bored quickly. Like,
yes.
The job I have now I like, because I'm always running around, walking around. I don't have time to sit still to think about how I can sabotage my day. You know what I mean?
No, but it's true. It's right.
But if I'm sitting in an office and I'm not doing much, well, I mean, you work in an office, but you're just kind of sitting there.
Right.
My thoughts kind of lose me a bit.
Right.
So I need to, like you said, stay grounded and do stuff that's creative, and I channel that self-destructive behavior towards creativity, positivity, growth, mindset, that sort of stuff.
And I've noticed that, like, the past couple of weeks, speaking of self-destructive, I mean, you pick and choose your time for, like, recreational substances.
Yeah, I don't smoke in the week. I don't drink in the week.
Yeah, so it's like now you've learned how to bring that
I'm growing, baby.
to the event, not making it the event. And
it's just all these little things that we learn as you develop and evolve and become wiser.
yeah,
You know, you gotta everything in moderation, right? And
right.
I'm learning a lot about that, specifically with substance. I wouldn't say substance abuse because I'm not like
No.
an alcoholic
No, I
or
wouldn't
a
say
drug
that.
addict,
No.
but
But you
recreational
gotta,
stuff.
because you check yourself. If you
Yeah, I
wouldn't
was
check
like, I don't
yourself-
want to do this anymore during the week because I want to focus on other things. There's a side project that I'm working on, a side business I'm working on, so I don't have time to do that.
Right.
And if I choose recreational drugs to do that, then I can't do the business.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do the business because financially it's going to help us. I mean, I'm just
Yeah, it snowballs.
working it out, you know?
It snowballs. Like this weekend, you had, a few drinks with your brother. It was more of a celebration. It
more
was
of a
more
good
of a
time.
relaxing weekend. You're able to do that. You pick the time to do that.
Yeah.
And but during the week, if you would do that, then you feel all like grungy in the morning. You wouldn't be
I can't
motivated
even
to
do it.
get up. You wouldn't be motivated to get up, and you wouldn't show
Yeah.
up as your best self. So I think there's a time and a place for.
I can't even
obviously,
have like 3 beers without feeling it a little bit in the morning. Even if I go to bed at 9 and wake up at 5, I still feel
Well, it's
a little,
'cause the
little
amount-
sluggish, right?
The liver's trying to detox all that.
So I couldn't imagine having 3-4 beers a night and still going to bed at 9 and still waking up at 5. That would only last so long. I mean, that candle would burn out. 100%.
well, self-destructive for sure.
It's self-destructive, and it's not healthy. Period.
No, and even
So
like
I
going to bed
understand why.
later too. Like your brother
Yeah.
goes to bed really late, and
Careful, you could be watching.
No, but he goes to bed really late. No, I hope that he's watching. So his cycle is to go to bed really bit late, and then he eats. Like he watches TV and he eats late at night, so your metabolism is slower. But then when he's sleeping, the body has to find the energy to digest all of that while in rest. So
Yeah.
when you're in rest, your
Rest and repair.
metabolism is really slower, so it
Yeah.
has a hard time digesting.
Yeah.
So then that gets stored into his fat cells, and then in
Yeah.
the morning he's more sluggish and doesn't have a chance to show up as his
Yeah.
best self, as like the best husband he could be, the best
It's tough.
father he could be.
It's
like,
tough to do it to run a high performance car when you put sand in the gas.
Right,
It's just not going to happen.
right.
And you can pull it off a couple of times, but you really have to be careful. Like I know that if I'm going to wake up at 5 and have a productive day, I have to be in bed by 9:30 at the top, like at the latest.
Yeah,
Hopefully I want to be in bed by 9 so I can be sleeping by 9:30. That's
Yeah.
just me.
absolutely.
I know that I can pull it off one day here, one day there, where I step at 10:30 and wake up at 5. That's not a big deal.
Right,
But
but
as
you feel it.
I feel it as a consistency. It's important.
Right, yeah,
And
yeah. Your
Yeah.
life comes from your daily habits.
100%. I
And-
mean, I'm still learning every day on how to be a good person, how to evolve,
If you
and how
don't
to
learn,
change.
you don't grow, you start to
And
perish.
yeah, I mean, I'm learning a lot, just a lot.
You're
and
welcome.
You're welcome. You fucking clown. Wrap it up, Misty. That's it. Leave it at that.
All right.
But as always,
We love ya. We're thinking about you. Have yourself a
Cold
great
showers,
week.
Fruits,
And
vegetables.
don't forget to vote.
Be a
We will
good
see you guys
person.
tomorrow morning at 7:15. Cheers.